I got a bunch of reclaimed wood recently, and one of the hauls I got was a set of bunk beds. Now these bunk beds had this hard maple as slats across the bottom that supported the mattress. They were held together by strips of cloth that were stapled to the wood, so I had to remove all the staples. After that was done, I briefly sanded each side so that I could glue them together in groups of 3. So I cut them into wedges on the miter saw to make segmented rings, and I made 5 rings in total. To glue them up, I simply held them together for about 2 minutes, which was long enough for the glue to get tacky and stay together. I glued them up in half rings because my miter saw is not accurate enough to glue them up all at once. So I sanded the faces parallel, then did the final glue up. Next I sanded one face to glue on a waist block, and I simply used 2x4s. The first and largest ring I started to turn on the lathe. Unfortunately the tenon broke. The tenon basically sheared right off. I think it was maybe because it was an older piece that I'd used on another project. The second ring turned just fine, although I have to be really careful and take off small shavings. I made a cardboard template so I could get the profile of my ring. So I did 1/2 ring and then glued on another waist block with CA glue. Then I removed the first waist block, remounted it in the chuck. Unfortunately it wasn't quite centered, and I know the reason why is because I had used a piece of 2x4 that already had a tenon on it. What I should have done was what I did with this one. I glued it on and then turned the tenon, and that way it ensures that it's centered. So this ring that flew off the lathe, I thought it was intact, but I noticed a joint had come apart, so I filled it with CA glue, worked it around a little bit, and then clamped it temporarily and made sure I marked it so I knew which joint it was. I plan on cutting these in half, so later I can just cut along that joint. So once I had all my rings done, I simply sanded off what was left of the CA glue and cut them all in half and started to glue them up. Again, I just held them in place for about 2 minutes. The surfaces were large enough so that the glue held them together. Just waited for them to dry for 30 minutes and then smoothed them out using a rotary tool and some sandpaper. And just repeated that process for all 5 rings until I had the shape that I wanted. The last part was kind of tough. I had to hold 1/2 of the ring in place while the glue dried on the other piece. I had a bit of a gap left over between 2 of my half rings, so I just filled it with CA glue. Did a final sanding and then put some oil-based finish on it. Just in case you were wondering, there's 180 pieces in it, and it turned out pretty cool.